It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Before we get into all the stuff that I want to talk about, good news today out of the White House. And thank goodness for Joe Biden and Marty Walsh at the Department of Labor. Today they announced, finally, the development of a federal rule requiring employers to keep their workers safe from heat exposure. Extreme heat is a killer. We know it's something I've been calling for years. Some kind of a rule to say, hey, when temperatures are jumping up here, maybe you need to have a little extra break. Maybe you need a little extra hydration. Maybe you need to do something to, well, mitigate some of that. Fans, I don't know. But good. Now, the Labor Department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, they're going to apply this new rule that they're coming up with to both indoor and outdoor workspaces. Always, the devil in the details kind of stuff. Going to take a bit of time. The White House said that it's taking the initial steps right now to make the process down the road. Could do sometime in October, perhaps, hoping for that. The president said in a statement he was doing it because of the record temperatures that we saw over the summer in places like the Pacific Northwest, where we literally had hundreds of people die from heat exposure. And it's one of these things that doesn't really get reported. And finally, somebody who seems to give a, what. Now, he said, quote, rising temperatures pose an imminent threat to millions of American workers exposed to the elements, to kids in schools without air conditioning, to seniors in nursing homes without cooling resources, and particularly the disadvantaged communities. Because we haven't done anything on the climate change front. Haven't. And we're probably not going to, because evidently Joe Manchin's going to be writing the climate rules going forward. So capitalism is going to figure this out. And working people are going to eventually at some point start having to sue for being injured in the workplace. Workers' compensation claims are going to go up, all this stuff. If we're unable and unwilling to govern ourselves and protect our workforce, well, capitalism will have to do that. Another good thing this weekend, the workers at Nabisco in plants all across this country, from Oregon to Chicago to Virginia, all of the workers there ratified their contract with Mondelez, which means Oreos made in the U.S. are now okay. Go get them to crush up in your cakes and dip in your milk. What is being described as a major victory for the workers. The company had wanted like a 2-tier healthcare system. That didn't happen. They wanted to destroy the premium pay, overtime on weekends thing. That didn't happen. The concession, from what I understand, they did have to give a Friday, Saturday, Sunday start time, 12-hour days for workers to be able to work those, which will cut down on overtime. But overall, incredible victory. A $5,000 ratification bonus, which I'm generally not thrilled with, but they got that. Increased the company's match to their 401k plan, and they're going to get raises in each contract year, which, it's what they wanted. So this is one of those things where the company said, hey, we're going to get our workers back together. We're going to provide the snacks. They now have a contract. So Danny DeVito's call of no contract, no snacks. We now have contracts, so we can all have snacks. And on that front, AOC said over the weekend as well that, children should have the right, toddlers should have the right to snacks and naps. I'm with her on that as well. So good stuff. Good way to start today off. Pretty happy. Now, the other side, Insurrection 2.0. Remember we were told there's going to be this giant, what were they calling this, justice for J6 or whatever craziness that is. I was told to expect at least, at minimum, 10,000 MAGA hat wearing maniacs storming our nation's capital. About 200 people showed up. We're talking, the Insurrection sequel, major flop. Like most sequels, major flop. Overall, I was told about 500 people showed up. You had about 50-50. You had the MAGA folk, and then you had the anti-MAGA folk. And it was interesting watching some of the videos of people screaming at each other. The part that I liked mostly is there seemed to be like 6 cops for every one person there. And I spent some time watching grown men yell and scream at each other in these ridiculous videos. Grown men acting like children because they think somehow if they spew their rhetoric louder, if they use more expletive-laden sentences, that somehow that's going to, or if they wave their flag in your face enough, somehow that's going to convince you. And they're going to win the argument, which is ridiculous. That's not, it's fun to watch for a couple of minutes. But when you really sit down and you think about it, what are you accomplishing? Nothing. I'm not sure what the prize out of this thing was, because they didn't get to storm the Capitol again. They didn't get to, erect a gallows. They didn't get to want to hang the vice president, although I know all 250 of those probably would want to. But I'm watching this stuff going, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, because like I said, they were outnumbered by law enforcement like 6-1. And as I thought about it, if I'm one of the law enforcement people, do I put up with the kind of stuff that they put up with back on January 6th? Oh, no. And in fact, being only human, you had to think that law enforcement was just begging for them to get out of hand so that they could use the iron fist and, do what Trump would want them to, go all Trumpian on them. But that didn't happen. It went off. It was nothing, really. And what was interesting to me, and I hope everyone else paid attention too, was the fact that while we were told there are going to be all these people showing up to the justice for the treason crowd from back in January. Stop and think about that for a second. You actually got 250 people to show up to say that the criminals who broke into our Capitol need some justice. And I agree, justice needs to be served, but not getting them out of jail. In my view, you try them, you convict them, and you put them in jail for a long period of time as an example of why you don't do that. But we have a history in this country of the traitors and the treasonous folks, of letting them off easy. Think Civil War. Just kind of throwing that out there. But it is amazing to me how well coordinated the right-wing message machine is. Because over here where they wanted us to look originally was to this Insurrection 2.0, it flopped. But they had plan B all ready for us. They really had it queued up. And look, this is what they do. They're great at it. The right-wing spin machine, fabulous. The right-wing politicians understand messaging. They understand timing better than anything. And look, you put some cops on horseback wearing cowboy hats. I think one of them had a bullwhip. Going chasing down Haitian people through the water and rounding them up like cattle. Man, what could get the right wing more tizzy and in a tizzy and all lathered up in the panties than that? Than literally whipping people in the water so that you could round them up. Yeah. And that's what made the right wing all happy on Saturday. The insurrection flop was forgiven because the FBI was a honeypot. They wanted to get people there so they could arrest them. If you're a criminal, you deserve to be arrested. Yeah, I agree. But they made a nice transition, didn't they? So that they could go away from how bad they flopped over here and really push over there. Now, the White House, said that, look, the images of what the Border Patrol with what appeared to be a whip were obviously horrific, according to them. I'm saying you start firing some of these people, and you lock them up. This is not how you do your job. But the right wing, some of the emails I got from folks, all happy and thrilled, and just could not be more exuberant over the fact that this was going on. Also, the other over the weekend, I got a bunch of people yelling at me that the left hates doctors. This popped up as well. And evidently, a doctor from Oregon basically surrendered his medical license, is how this report reads once you get through the headline. Because the headline was the state of Oregon ripped his medical license from him because he refused to wear a mask. And they basically asked him, look, are you going to wear a mask while treating patients? Are you going to require your staff and people who you're bringing into your medical office to wear masks? Are you going to stop preaching this nonsense that masks don't work and they can poison you? And he said no. He was asked if given the choice between wearing the mask and doing what the community wants, or spewing lies and nonsense. He said that he would, without question, give up his medical license and stop practicing medicine. And they obliged. That's how I read it. Now, the story read was that the Oregon Medical Board revoked his license because he refused to wear a mask. And that got the crazy people, losing their minds. When the reality is this guy has been been preaching nonsense for a while. This idea that, if you wear a mask, it could cause your lungs to collapse. It could give you pneumonia. It could cause strokes. It could lead to carbon dioxide poisoning, which evidently has been debunked, time and time again. But again, you get one guy in the medical profession to come out and say, yeah, everything they're telling you over there is false. Come to me, buy my snake oil, do whatever. So they revoked his license. Now, Ohio, conversely, went the other direction. You remember Dr. Tenpenny, the woman, the magnet woman, the woman who said, if you got the vaccine, you're now a magnet? Yeah, I tried. I really did. I was hoping, because it would come in handy. If I was magnetized, it might come in handy. You never know. I didn't work on me, but I digress. Ohio gave her license, renewed her license. This is the woman who basically is making a killing off of telling people if you get the vaccine, you'll grow a third nipple or something. Crazy. And the thing is you get these crackpots on things like TikTok, and I spent a little time watching TikTok over the weekend. And wow, people literally losing their minds over the rest of us being tired with their ridiculous nonsense, over the idea that we want people to respect us. Now, I met a guy this last week that, and again, it was refreshing to finally meet someone who goes, look, I'm not going to get the vaccine, and here's why. I have some medical issues. I'm not 100% sure that it's. I'm a guy who gets, whenever I take drugs or whenever I take something, I always get the most extreme reactions. So he says, look, I'm not in great health. I'm not comfortable with it. He goes, but I am responsible. I believe in being responsible. I wear a mask. I socially distance. I don't go into large crowds. I'm doing everything I can do to keep myself safe first. Personal responsibility first, and then keeping everybody else safe. And he goes, look, I understand. I know that I'm putting my family at risk. I know I'm putting my wife, my kids, my neighbors, my friends. I know I'm doing that. And I tell them, look, here's the situation. And when they're around, I wear the masks. They do too. We're as safe as we can be given the situation. And I go, you know what? I respect that. I actually respect that, because look, he cares about somebody else. He knows that what he's doing could put someone else at risk, and he's taking measures to stop. My problem with the anti-vax nitwits is they think that, well, I should be able to literally spit on your neck and breathe on you anytime I want because it's my freedom. And that's where this whole idea of my rights over your rights clash. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to get through this. We're trying to find a way to get to the other side. Look, nobody knows all the answers, and things are going to change, and you have to be a little bit flexible. But in the end of this, I look at this guy and I go, if we had more people like this who are going, look, I want to be responsible. If I had, fewer health conditions, if I didn't get extreme reactions to things like, like vaccines or medications that they give, I would do it. But given my situation, respect my ability to keep myself safe because I'm respecting yours. And that to me, how can you argue with that? You can't. And at least I can't. The people who I normally come across are like, yeah, heck with you, blankety blank, blankety blank blank. I'm never blankety this or that or blankety that. No one's trying to take your freedoms away. We're trying to protect ours. And I get this nonsense from these folks all the time. You're taking my freedoms. Slowly, you're taking my freedoms. First, you started with the seat belts, and then with the DUI checkpoints, and what's it going to be next? And look, they take a little kernel of something. You go, yeah. Do they overreach in some areas? Yeah. But when you're talking about public safety, when you're talking about others, it's important to be cognizant of the other. I find it interesting that the people who tell me that they're stealing my freedoms, they're the very people who don't believe in the idea of the commons, that there is anything that is outside of their power. What we have to do through all this is we've got to figure out how to protect ourselves against getting infected. And then we've got to figure out how, when someone is infected, we treat that. And then we've got to figure out how to deal with severe diseases. Right now, what we know is that if you get the vaccine, even if you get COVID, you're going to have a better outcome. People in the hospitals right now that are dying at a much higher rate are the unvaccinated. And I'll be honest, I struggle having sympathy with them because we're put in this situation again and again and again because people won't be respectful. People won't do the right things. And then they go, oh, gee, I got sick. Who knew? Well, everyone. Hello, welcome to the conversation. There is no one who hates wearing a mask more than this guy. There is nobody who hates getting a shot more than this guy. There is nobody who hates being told what to do more than this guy. But when my doctor says, Rick, this is how we get through this, I got to listen to him and I got to believe him. And when the medical experts that I talk to say this is the path, for me, that's the path. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Going to take a quick break right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show.
There's nothing more American than workers standing up, and the union gives a voice to win. On The Rick Smith Show.